the two wheels.
Nail it.
I'm gonna go to the restroom real fast.
Do it.
First time I've seen this pop up.
We got Sean Ha. He's one of our specialties. He's gotta be in the center of the magazine.
Nice.
He always looks sharp.
All right, we're recording, so we're good there.
Cool. And do we have anyone else joining the meeting today, or
Erica might show up. Our COO,
Wow.
CCO? I thought I saw online.
Chief Compliance Officer.
Yeah.
Chief Compliance Officer, CCO.
Do you want me to go find her?
Yeah, if she comes, she
Do
comes.
we need another chair?
Yeah, let's see if anyone cares.
Oh, then maybe she won't come, hopefully. Isn't there like a little squidgy one over there?
I think we did.
Definitely have
Why
some.
don't you stand up? I've been known to be weighty and arrogant, so standing up might not be the best thing for me.
Sure, interesting. I wonder who designed these for you.
Yeah, so
You must have had an amazing
our
marketing
team
company.
has worked very hard on this.
Your team?
Yeah, you'll find a lot of good information. We had talked about potential of M&A in Canada and the UK, so you'll find country overviews for each of those here, which we can talk about once you get further down the line with that. You'll find benefits, etc.
You know, color ink is not free.
I knew you knew it.
Well, you're an important client, so we're putting our
At
best foot
Target
forward.
CW, we're heavily advised to just take back the old natures of mail and print, so people can actually have something to look at. So we wanted to take advantage of that opportunity
Yeah.
today.
Mhm.
So
Also, our brand new graphic designer was practicing a little bit, making sure she knows how to work the printer.
Please enjoy our much
I love
coveted
these things.
Target CW water bottles.
Oh, I love me.
And Alex,
Oh, is there
why,
one for
why
me?
do you love you?
What?
Got the sauce here, as well as with some napkins.
I don't think I've ever had it with sauce.
Chick-fil-A sauce.
Oh,
It's hard to
Chick-fil-A
go
sauce.
wrong with.
For North Carolina, that's a staple of life is Chick-fil-A and their sauce.
Is it local?
It's
Probably
definitely
It is
not.
definitely not.
but you have to think of it as such.
We're also supporting our next client.
Chick-fil-A?
How many
Chick-fil-A.
have?
No? Oh, PFJ?
I was like, I don't know about that.
I know, I was like,
I don't want to act like an idiot and not know that.
I was like, PFKs and Chick-fil-A are very different.
No.
But they do both make fried chicken.
They have had Asiatic influence on
Yes.
Yeah. They both make you happy.
They do both
Thumbs
make
up.
happy, yeah.
And I was
On card.
telling Preston and Car this
I know, she has
in
one.
this booklet. Preston and I had talked about potential of M&A further down the line, companies in Canada and UK. So you'll find, in
Yeah,
addition
I'll
to
go.
payrolling
We'll see.
in our MSP services, country overview of Canada and country overview of the UK with benefits.
Fancy, fancy.
Is there someone that doesn't have one?
Yeah, we have an extra.
We might be having the.
Car, did you get one? Yeah, he has one.
Yeah, I have
So,
one. Do you guys want to partake in any of this biscuit?
Oh,
We're gonna
we'll
thank
wait
you,
till
though.
We'll
we're.
wait till the end.
And then you're gonna
Oh,
go,
this
let's
is
go
for
crazy.
everybody?
It's not professional to eat while presenting.
You guys really should while they're warm.
You'll also find on your swag, it has an overview of our services. So as you take these back to your desk for quick reminders, you'll have your booklet and then the water bottle box.
Excellent.
Great, you guys have hit it.
Perfect. Well,
How are you guys recording?
thank you all for your time today. I know Preston and I have had a couple conversations before. But before we dive in, wanted to see, you had given me a quick census and overview of your current population, but you had mentioned Geek Squad division adding some additional workers. So wanted to see if in the past couple weeks anything's changed in your workforce and what you've uncovered.
Nothing is new,
Okay. And is there?
besides what I gave you before.
And before we introduce ourselves and everything, we wanted to see what your objectives were today, like 1 or 2 points that you'd like to see out of your ideal contingent workforce that we can hit on for you.
I'll start since you're chewing.
Please answer.
For me, our biggest objective is really just to get a strong foothold around our contingent workforce. Right now, it's scattered with all the different things that I showed you on in our RFP that we sent out. And so it's just understanding that, getting our hands around it, making making sense of all the data and maximizing ROI. But ultimately for me, it's getting the right person in front of the hiring manager in the quickest amount of time at the best rate. So that's my goal and initiative, is all that they care about, my stakeholders.
Okay, perfect.
So what he said, plus, just, that consolidation, efficiency, ROI, you know, as a finance director, I'm working with all the different stakeholders separately, and, you know, we brought Preston on, which has been great, to kind of bring this all together, that how, you know, that's gonna evolve and change the program in general, and, even from a finance perspective, I'm interested in.
Okay.
And so my role is HR project manager, so I oversee a lot of the implementation. So I really wanna know how that implementation is gonna take place, right? And we've got a lot of other things going on. We've got some seasonal hires, so I don't want this to be something that's a major distraction. And then we're also implementing Workday, so the integration with that tool and making sure everything kind of works together harmoniously is pretty important to us.
That's it.
Perfect. And then, we talked about you all wanting to manage a program internally. So Cara, would that be something that you would be, managing on a day-to-day basis with the implementation, or would you be looking at identifying somebody, to add on to the team, or would you be looking more for us?
We're on the subset.
Okay, perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. Alright, well, before we dive in, just wanna take some time to introduce ourselves, but before we do that, wanted to go over our agenda for today. So we'll do some quick introductions, of us, we'll have an overview of Target CW, some history, and, then dive into our services. We'll talk about strategy for aligning our processes with y'all's processes to create the best, solution for you. Talk about Staffing Nation, give you a quick look at Staffing Nation, but we'll do a Staffing Nation demo more in depth at a later date. And then we'll discuss a roadmap and timeline of implementation and what that would look like before our Q&A. Cool. So I'm Jason. I started at Target CW about 6 years ago. I'm in sales, so I work at connecting clients with Target CW in that partnership.
So I'm Marissa Farwell, I'm a client relations analyst here. I work really closely with Jason as far as securing partnerships, and then I oversee the well-being of our account beyond the signing of that contract. So it sounds like you and I would be really good friends moving forward,
Right.
as far as the implementation process and making sure that everything that you need is felt, supported, and understood along the way of our partnership, while providing you with your reporting needs and making sure that you feel like you're enjoying our services.
Did you say felt?
Yeah.
And I'm Tim Hendrickson. I'm the director in our staffing department. I specifically run the IT division. I'm the department head there, and I know that from our previous meetings, about 50% of your staff workers are in the IT space. So that's something I definitely want to dive into you guys with you later.
Cool.
I am Deirdre Venables. I'm the staffing consultant here at Target CW. I've been here about a year and a half. So I'd say like 80% of my time is spent recruiting, and about 20 is connecting with our clients and potential clients to sell our staffing services.
I'm Jamie Aspen. I'm in business development here at Target CW. I'm fairly new, so Jason's actually been training me for the past 3 or 4 months, and I'm excited for the possibility to work with you guys as well. So to get started, we just want to give you a little background on Target CW. Last year, we payrolled 15,000 W-2s, bringing in $400 million annually. Compliance and auditing is huge for us. As you can see here, we're SSAE 16 compliant, as well as we do go through annual auditing. We want our clients to be able to trust and rely on our data, especially since we do have a lot of it coming in. We're also security cleared by the DoD, so for those positions that need additional security clearance, we're able to handle that. Another huge differentiator is our company culture here at Target CW. As we stand out for our 5-star Glassdoor rating. Our CEO just won CEO of the Year award, so we're very excited about that. And we're also consistently ranked best company to work for in San Diego. So we care a lot about this because we do care about our reputation in the industry. Also, with security and privacy being a big deal right now, we hold ourselves to a high standard to be GDPR compliant, as well as hold a privacy Privacy Shield certification, and this is not only in the United States but also the EU. So all this information can actually be found on tcwprivacy.com, which is an awesome site, just not only for our clients but employees too, to be able to refer to all that information in one place. So like I said, we are a global company. We can help with your workers in all 50 states, as well as move forward nationally with it, nationwide.
So you said you're new to the company?
Yes.
Tell us about your first, what brought you to the organization?
I am new to San Diego, so I was looking up the best companies to work for, and I was in sales, and I was super excited to get the chance to interview. I've worked in payrolling before, so I had some background on that, and I was excited to join, a place where I can feel at home, since I'm not from home, or not at home.
Cool.
Yeah.
So here at Target CW, we have a ton of priorities and values, and we pretty much broke them down into 4 core areas. First and foremost would be our client. We are here for you, because of you, and we just really, our whole idea is to make your contingent workforce simple. So next we would have the candidate. We really strive to have all of our candidates, whether they are sourced from Target CW, from your team internally, or from another agency, that they have the best and most seamless experience from start to finish. Next, we have the agency. I know that you guys have 15 different agencies that you're working with, and we want you and them to know as well that we are completely vendor neutral, and we would treat them and their candidates as if they are our own. Last but not least, we have Target CW, and we feel very comfortable in the way that our internal employees are treated. So we put that in their heads to reflect and mirror the same type of service. And we work on a service leadership model where our main goal is to serve. So when we look into our values, they really align in all areas. First and foremost, we are always respectful and transparent. Anyone dealing with our internal employees will always receive polite professional service. And in all areas, we strive to be transparent with what we can and can't offer and how quickly. Memorable service, this is an area that we really take great pride in. We always have that white glove, old-fashioned customer service. A funny story is we kind of coined that term old-fashioned customer service from a client of ours that called in, and who was very pleasantly surprised to see that human-to-human interaction, and that automated recording simply does not exist here. And then again, working with the candidates so much, even after offboarding, I really always follow up and see where they're at and how they're doing, and a lot of times they tell me how much we are set apart from the big agencies where they don't feel like just a number, and they're truly valued. Next would be constant alignment. We strive to be constantly aligned with all of your processes and services that you'd like from us. I know, the turnover in HR is pretty high, as you all know, and a lot of our clients have new team members coming in where we bring them up to date and stay aligned with their future and current needs. Last but not least, we have beautiful design. We just actually in 2018 launched our brand new website. It's a really beautiful, robust, and agile site for our internal employees, your employees, your team, and our prospects as well. Additionally, as you'll see, Staffing Nation, it is our proprietary tool, and it is a full dashboard to give you full visibility of your contingent workforce, and that was designed in-house. So you'll see how beautiful it really is pretty soon.
And what are some ways that you stay constantly aligned? I like what you said about being aligned with our expectations. How do you guys do that?
So we check in, we have meetings every month or two and check in with all of our clients and stay up to date. You would also have 4 points of contact. One would be your business development personnel, your account manager, your client relations analyst, and someone from the recruiting department as well, among others. And you are able to reach out at any time and contact us 24/7 with anything that you would like to adjust.
We also strive on our end to stay up to date on laws and implementations that we can help keep you abreast on, like with what might be changing in different states and changing in different states and different laws, sick time ordinances. We'll keep you up to date on that information, so we can be that constant on the back end as your program evolves and changes.
And even as small as it might seem, you actually have the opportunity to give your account manager a thumbs up or a thumbs down based on their customer service or your experience with Target CW during each email interaction. So it might seem small scale, but that feedback actually really helps us make sure that we're aligned with your culture and your values to make sure that we're providing you with the most excellent customer service we possibly can.
What about beyond the beautiful design? You mentioned the software technology. What does that mean beyond the technology that you have?
I would say from that as well, the beautiful design about Target CW is the fact that we do try and go above and beyond in all measures that we possibly can. So checking in with you, not just to say hello, but also to really get that true feedback from you so that we can hear what's working about our services, what isn't. And you know, we've actually designed Staffing Nation based on a lot of the feedback and ideas that some of our clients have given us. So something as small as a movable kendo grid might have just been the brainchild of one of our clients who said, hey, this might be a neat feature. And we actually were able to put it into motion.
I know, also you mentioned implementing Workday. So there's always that opportunity to meet with our IT team, our CTO specifically, and tell her exactly what you want and where you'd like to see it. So that's on Staffing Nation, a beautiful, seamless way to make it happen.
Great, so as Deirdre just went over our values, that's first and foremost for us in putting people first. But our tangible for Target CW is our services. Starting with payrolling, we actually started out as a payrolling company almost 10 years ago now. We do payrolling nationwide. We strive with our payrolling in all things now that we offer, but we strive to make a difference and just set ourselves apart from different agencies, especially in today's economy. We know that we're on the back end of brand attraction for your organization. So if you have someone that's onboarding quickly on Staffing Nation in 15 minutes like we offer, you're gonna get recognition in that with a contractor potentially moving on and having that to compare it against another agency. So we wanna help you with that brand attraction. You'll also find that we have quick turnaround and automated ACH. So if somebody starts today, for example, they'll actually get their first paycheck next Thursday because we understand that contractors are typically working job to job and we wanna make sure they don't have a lapse in pay, as well as a quick turnaround on pre-screening.
We also offer hybrid MSP and VMS, and I know during this presentation, we're really gonna dive into some of your needs and questions over implementing a VMS or MSP program. But the real focus I want you to have here is about the word hybrid. So we can rev up or rev down based on your needs. I know that you said you wanted to kind of own this program internally. That's absolutely something we can accommodate, but maybe during the implementation period while you get used to our services and our platform, you need some additional assistance. We can maybe have a full-scale governance while we get you up to speed in our program. You know, make sure every process is standardized. We have all of the necessary documentation and programs in place to meet your needs. And then we scale back as you guys grow more confident and want to internalize all of those processes. So we can absolutely start with that and move down if you need it. Otherwise, we always offer visibility into your workforce, so all of your workers that you have, be them as well 1099s, SOWs, your international people can all be loaded up into Staffing Nation for your visibility. That would help with your reporting needs, Jan, and making sure that you're keeping track of any rogue spend that might be occurring, as well as any program governance that you might need for your compliance needs, CARS. So I'm sure you're concerned about document compliance and really working with those sort of suppliers that are actually working for you. We'd be able to offer you some KPIs that would be able to show you whether or not your program is truly effective with those suppliers.
Yeah, the third arm that we have is our placement and staffing division. We specialize in doing not only direct hires or contract workers, we also do contract to hires as well. We have 5 department heads. So every department, I noticed from our previous calls, about 50% of your staffing is in the IT department. That's the department I run and oversee. I noticed also you have 25% is office and light industrial, so we can put you in line with our warehouse and logistics department as well for that. And then I know you do 25% is other and exec, so that's probably more your direct hires. So we also have the direct hire division that we can set you up with as well. We have a veteran staffing group as well, which is run by a two-tour veteran from the Marine Corps, which is pretty cool. We take major pride in hiring vets and getting them from the line of service into careers that they can grow in. And we take pride in that all of our contractors have the same rights and responsibilities, benefits as full-time employees.
Then we have our 1099 and audit. So we can actually take on liability and indemnify you from liability on 1099s with that classification. So if that's is that housed currently with your legal team, or do you actually oversee that, Jen?
Yeah, it's with legal.
Okay.
She couldn't make it this morning, but yeah.
No problem. So we can actually take that on for you all, and make that classification call. If they're a true 1099, we'll classify them as such, do reviews on them every 3 to 6 months, making sure they're staying in that true job description. So there's not any misclassification potentially. If they are W-2, we'll convert them to a W-2 and take on that liability. Obviously, communicating with you all, letting you know what's happening in that process. And then we have your audits. So we have over 500 clients around the globe. So we have a lot of information that we can help you all on with keeping processes up to date with your program and what's happening. Marissa is actually the one that you would be working with a lot on those. With different things, if you wanted to hit on that.
Yeah, sure. So if you had any sort of concern, especially with your contingent workforce program, we want to make sure all of these workers feel loved and supported and truly like they are part of a big family. So one of the ways that we try and help with that is if there's any sort of a PTO policy that you wanted to put in place. I have a client that we just put in place a birthday program. So if there's a worker who has their birthday, they actually get a paid day off, which is kind of nice, and it makes the workers feel like they are truly a part of the team and they're not just these contingent workers that are off to the side. So I'm not sure if that's something you guys already have in place, such a giant company such as yourselves, but if there was ever anything you needed like that, or truly anything that you wanted to go over as far as scaling back and mitigating some of your cost and spend, I'd be able to help you with that.
And if we do get audited by whether it's a local or, federal government, you guys come in and help with that?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Definitely. And as I mentioned before, these are tangible services, but the overarching theme of why we exist is to make the utilization of contingent workforce simple. We want you to know that everything is taken care of. It's a consolidated place for you, where if you have change within your organization, we're actually consistent and constant for you, knowing that things are getting taken care of, workers are getting onboarded and taken care of, agencies are getting invoices to us and paid, but you have one point of contact that's communicating that information when you need it.
Now I know from our previous conversations, Preston, you're a bit nuanced or green around the edges as far as the difference of VMS and MSP, and I'm not sure if that's the same for you, Jan and Carr. Is that pretty similar?
I've worked in the past, I'm a little familiar with it.
Okay, yeah, sure. Well, feel free to jump in if you have any questions as far as to some of the points that I'm going to highlight here, but we thought it might be helpful to kind of break down the difference between an MSP and a VMS. So So when you're really thinking about the MSP, we think it's helpful to think of that person as the people that are behind the program. So that's going to be, as Jason mentioned, your dedicated point of contact, that person who's going to be the focal point of the universe for all of the communications between suppliers, hiring managers, so that person who's really going to be running the whole show. That person would also be someone that we could put on site for you. For example, we have with our client Riot Games, someone that we actually have 2 people that sit on site there, and they run the program for Riot so that they can completely sit back and focus on what they do best. That person would actually be essential as far as consolidating those processes, putting standardizations in place, being able to assist with the training and communication to all of those workers. And then maybe, depending on the times of year, for clients such as your size, we would probably recommend maybe quarterly sort of KPI reviews as far as your suppliers, who's working for you, who's not. But again, that would be that person who's your dedicated point of contact.
And then we have our VMS. The VMS side is the technology. So it's the place where all of your agencies would be housed, orders would go in and come out. It's our proprietary tool here in-house. Our team's actually spent about $6 million on this tool over the past several years, and we are very, very excited about it. I actually was talking to somebody on an onboarding call a few months ago, and the hiring manager actually started crying because she was so tired of Excel spreadsheets, not understand where things are coming from and spend. And this is that one-stop shop for you that's going to create that consolidation. Quick turnaround and onboarding. It gives you real-time KPIs, as Marissa was saying. So it has a full dashboard dedicated to that. So the purpose of it is to make it simple. Again, is to know that you have a technology where you can go at any time, get real-time feedback on where is John Doe in their onboarding process, how is Happy Gaming performing in their staffing. You can get that real-time feedback for your program. So we're going to go over some challenges that people face, but before we kind of dive into that, I wanted to see, as you are exploring the MSP VMS model, we'll have a couple things that our clients identify most with, but wanted to see what you guys are currently seeing that you're facing challenges with.
I would say just the lack of consistency in our processes for this whole space. So you got hiring managers all kind of doing their thing. When I meet with them to go over their budgets and things like that, and their P&L reviews, they're kind of all over the place with who they're utilizing, why, the rates, which probably transcends into the experience and how those individuals feel. And then we have our seasonal period, which is really important to us. You can imagine the revenue that we are expected to bring in the fourth quarter of the year with Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have 20 distribution centers, and each of them's doing their own thing. So they have different rates, different agencies, all over the place, and we have zero visibility into it except for the invoice comes to Jan, and then she spins her head and goes 80% markup. What the world's going on?
Yeah.
So
But you need to hit the revenue goal.
yeah, that's
So-
exactly it. So unnecessary expenditures, but really also like there could be some agency over there that isn't doing things right. So we don't have the slightest idea yet, and that's what we need to get to. That's what I'm here to do.
In that process, do hiring managers or different distribution centers have to reach out to you all before they bring on an agency?
We're trying to. So right now it's an email. So they'll email me is the current process because I have no other choice but for them to send me an email. So right now they send me an email that has like a basic template of about 5 or 6 fields of what they want. And then all that I do is I log that into an Excel spreadsheet.
That's
And
amazing.
then they take it from there and do whatever they're gonna do. Yeah.
So we'll kind of briefly go over that, but you'll see in the Staffing Nation demo, we actually have hierarchy. So before anyone would bring on an agency, you'd have to get approval from you guys, and it creates that funnel effect, if you will, to where no one can go rogue. You have to go through the system, get approvals by you or whoever on your team would oversee that. So it would create the consistency with markup rates and then get rid of the rogue spend.
Yes.
And we'll actually keep tabs on all of your vendors and how they're performing. So if you have some vendors that are, following the rules, following the markups, and giving consistent quality candidates, you can actually give them preference to, they see more roles than some companies or vendors that might, be kind of dropping the ball on that, or, being very, not transparent is all. And that's our goal, is to be as transparent with all of our vendors as well as everything we do on our side as well.
Cool.
I think we also kind of had some issues with privacy, and so we want to make sure that as we look and we bring in and we pull all this together, that privacy and compliance is first and foremost. And then the last thing that I'd say is, in my previous position in another organization, I worked with Allegis a little bit, and they were very, they had a great process, but it was Allegis's process, and we had to kind of fit inside of it.
Right.
And so I don't feel like we're a standard organization here, and so there may be some issues that we run into where I think we're gonna have to relook at what the process currently is, maybe that you have set up.
Yeah, and
somebody can work with us on that.
we'll definitely hit that in the next little bit, but there's a lot of companies like you all out there. More and more as we uncover our hybrid model and start working with more and more organizations, I actually just talked to a guy at a conference the other day. He came up and he's like, I'm a small shop, I only have 45 million in spend. A lot of these organizations want 100 million plus and fit you in the box like you were describing. Our hybrid approach covers that with wherever you are in that season, which again we'll highlight. But we want to create a place where you're getting the same customer service feedback and same technology of performance that you would get out of a bigger program with Target CW and Staffing Nation.
I was also gonna say, one of the areas that we talked about in terms of savings is, we've been around for years and years and years, and every single year with the same needs. A bunch of warehouse people, a bunch of retail, even though we're not looking at retail right now, are hired on for Christmas time. And a lot of times it's the same people. But I'm just wondering if those people are going through agencies, or if we're able to do the payroll and markup thing. And so that's a waste of time and money right now, I feel like.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll highlight that.
So yeah, I just want to do a quick little run through, now we got your questions and kind of understanding your pain points. These are what we've kind of gathered as companies across the United States. This is a problem that a lot of them have with their programs. First of all, it's the organizational level, so they're worried about visibility, as we were saying, a bunch of rogue spend, a bunch of vendors kind of sneaking through the cracks, getting their people through. Standardization, they want it one sole proprietary system they can kind of follow up and see everything in a very easy format. That's kind of organizational level. The user level is about the hiring managers and the candidates itself. A lot of hiring managers, it's tough to kind of get caught up on the system, so we're gonna have Marissa, do trainings on them to get them up to speed. Also, the enforcement of the whole process, as we said, we want to make it as transparent and following the rules as much as possible. And then what we find really important, kind of what you were saying with our constant alignment, we match our culture to what your culture is. We want to make our candidates jump right into Best Buy and fit in directly with what you do and who you are as an organization. One really cool story that we had, as I think it was Jason was saying, Riot or Marissa, they're one of our biggest MSP clients. They are very heavy into their culture. They're a gaming company. They want everyone to fully immerse themselves in that. We threw a Christmas party for them, and it wasn't just cupcakes and shaking hands and saying hi, but we actually set up a whole Christmas party. We brought in fake Christmas trees, decorated it, and even made little ornaments with all of our contractors' names on it, so that they feel, very much part of the organization in the greater scheme of things.
Cool. Yeah, we want to definitely go above and beyond again, just for that brand retention. So then, some program benefits. So why would you, create an MSP VMS program when you're not using it? Again, we take that hybrid approach. So we're going to go over some models and phases, but we like to pride ourselves as a turnkey solution. So what does that mean? We want to be the one-stop shop for you. We want to, whether it be payrolling, staffing, 1099, or global payrolling, we want you to know that we are going to be there on the back end taking care of that for you. We'll have clear, consistent communication through our program. And then, like you were saying, creating cost control. So creating those avenues of where we can identify places to, create consolidation, whether it be staffing firms that aren't performing well, whether it be governing markup rates, we can come in and help you all with that. From an engagement level, we'll create those standardized processes. So whether it be like we were discussing, the hierarchy approach where we're funneling in hiring managers when they want to bring in a new staffing agency, we'll come in and help you all with that. Consistent feedback, we were hitting on that. Our developers for Staffing Nation are right down the hall from us, so we love feedback on the Staffing Nation. And if you're using the tool and finding that, wow, I'd love to see this reporting capability in there, let us know. We love hearing that from you all because we want to continue to grow and align with what your needs are as well. Because chances are, if you're having that problem, there's a ton of other organizations out there that are having the same thing. I think the reason that our organization and our software is so robust is because we actually encourage the feedback and we've grown from it over the years. Okay.
I was just, under engagement, how do you get our hiring managers, our department heads to engage around a program? Cause I could see them saying, okay, you have to say we go through this process, but then I could see me still getting an invoice outside of the program. How do you help us kind of manage that? Cause we're all over the place, I can't just walk down the hallway and.
Right, definitely. It's definitely a team effort. So it's gonna be clear, expectations from your team, but also creating that hierarchy approach, and that's where we can come in on a different level and fully govern the program, where we can come in, have somebody on site or remote dedicated to connecting with all these hiring managers, letting them know. But it's a team effort, essentially. It's working together to create the most effective program for you.
And part of our implementation period and some of the next steps that we can discuss at the end of the presentation too would be sort of creating that roadmap. For instance, I just had a client that I went on site to help them with this implementation for, and they had a similar struggle as yourself. They were afraid that their hiring managers were gonna be all over the place and there'd be a mutiny on hand or what have you. And we were able to really come up with a roadmap and a timeline. So we were able to say, okay, by this date, all of the hiring managers need to have accepted their invitations to Staffing Nation. They need to have, created their own username and login so that they go in. And as of this date, any requisitions that you have are going through Staffing Nation. So it was a little strong and firm, but it was at the end of the day, it was for a necessary good that we needed to make sure everything was housed in one place in order for them to get the best quality candidates.
You can also see, Marissa, I'm sure we'll dive into it on Staffing Nation, but as far as the invoices go, you can always just give us a call and say, hey, can you send me our spend by department, location? We're able to just export it right into Excel for you.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you one more question. So on the project mobilization, that's actually a big deal, kind of what we were talking about earlier, when we bring on like 200 people around Christmas time. What does that mean?
So when you're looking at ramping up or scaling down for a program, we have capabilities of activating, deactivating workers in our system, and we've worked with a lot of companies over the years to create roadmaps essentially on best practices on how to do that. And then in Staffing Nation, it's easy for us to bring workers back in the system and be aware of who's already worked on those projects, so that you might not even have to put in the effort on having an agency identify those workers. You could just bring them back as a payroll worker at a later time. So we'll work with you on implementing those best practices and how to be more lean in your efficiencies.
And to add on to that too, there's also a tab, so whenever somebody's worked with us in the past, the manager's able to review that worker and say, hey, I would hire them back or I wouldn't. So the workers that come in and do a bad job, it'll say, hey, I wouldn't hire them back, and we can keep them out of the system. Whereas those workers that were seasonal, they did a great job, but now it's not Christmas time, but they're a great worker, we can have them in the system and have them right back in.